Hi guys. First, everybody looks beautiful, and I usually wear a sari. I'm married to a Bengali. That's my standard go-to. It's just I'm running to the airport after this. Hence, I just could not see myself running in a sari. That was the only thing. Um, so when Vani and Vatsala asked me to speak, uh, so I know you guys don't know this about me. I'll give a quick background. I now run something called SheCapital, which is a venture fund. That is very simple to understand. SheCapital, we invest in women founders or women-led companies. But before this, I used to run an internet company called Maidala. And prior to that, I ran another company called Guinness, which I sold to the US market. So when they called and they said, tell one tough story. I was like, what? It's like kid in a candy store. How can you do that? Itni sari hai mere paas. Which one? This is wonderful. It took a long time to think about a tough story because there were so many to choose from. So I've decided to spin it a little bit. Being founders, we're all optimistic. So I'm going to talk about my tough story, but I'm going to talk about the learnings that came after that. The toughest probably is, if you all know, whoever knew Maidala knew that in 2015, we were at our peak. We were doing 120 crores of revenue, super profitable. In 2015, by the way, that was a shitload of money to be making. And we had General Atlantic that came to us and said, look, we're going to do a transaction with you. We want to invest $70 million with a follow-on of $60 million. Everything went through. All the paperwork went through. And I think the only criteria they had was they wanted to finish the transaction in a month. And literally 3 days before signing, one of my investors stood up and said, I don't want to give up a board seat. And we were like, what? And I really thought it was negotiable. This is an existing investor. And before I knew it, the entire deal unraveled. SHA went away, everything went away. And GA said, look, we don't want to do this. We said a month. And my investor and I were left high and dry because suddenly we were like, what? Suno to, dekho to. We were still just negotiating. The deal went off the table. There was no deal. And we really had to think because we had grown over the last 3 months. So that was a really tough time, knowing that $70 million just went off. I think the lesson that I learned at that point was I had to speak up for myself. I don't blame my investor. I think if there was a guy in my place, he would have told my investor, this deal is going to get off the table. Okay, we need to do it now. I don't think my investor or I realized it that the deal was just going to go off. We were just left caught with our pants down, literally, knowing that the deal has gone off the table. So one of the lessons that I learned was speak up for yourselves. No, investors are not gods. For some reason, we are scared to speak up to our investors. Do not do that. If you have investors, build a relationship of mutual trust. This is so important. I now sit on the other side, and I can tell you, and that's one of the reasons that I started a fund, was I never wanted anyone to go through that. Never. I just wanted people to be able to speak up and be unafraid. And I think as women, we hesitate to do that. So do not do that because it really sets you back. And I mean, Maidala is still doing well, but my poor Dhanno, it could have been doing phenomenally well. It really set us back because a lot of people left. And that point really hemorrhaged us. So tough story to tell, but that being that. Second is, have you seen the movie Inception? Find your anchor. I don't know how to explain this to you. There are shitty times. All of us have them. I'm sorry I speak this casually, so just deal with it. If it offends you, sorry. But find that anchor. If it's your family, your kids, running, God, wine, and they all change, by the way. Some days it's wine, some days it's kids, some days it's family, whatever, God. Find that, because we all need that, and we really need to make sure that that happens for us on our really bad days. So I think that's one thing that makes sure that we don't have a spirit that's broken. And lastly, this has nothing to do with Unbreakable Spirit. It's more to do with CXXO and the fact that Vani's been doing this and so many of us have been doing this. I think I didn't have a better analogy, but I'll say this. You can come from different backgrounds, okay? All of us do. Some have had to work harder to get where we are. The others, in general, in life, the family we were born into, you just were privileged, right? Similarly, founders have different journeys. Each journey is different. Somebody might have been privileged and raised a lot of money. Some come through tougher, ghasite times, me included. That does not mean that we don't support each other. That's my only request. Realize that you can do this at any stage. We need to build this sisterhood up. And just because you came through privilege does not mean, and you got funded early, does not mean that there's no bias that exists and that everything is kosher for everybody in the world. So my only request is reach out to each other. Even early stage founders, I've heard female founders say, but I'm just starting out, what can I do? There are so many people having a shitty day. Reach out to the second founder and just, you don't know. She could be having a really bad day, like having lost a $70 million term sheet. And if you just reach out and say, you know what, it's going to be okay, it might make a hell of a difference. So do that to each other. Grow the sisterhood. It really, really makes a difference. And we need to do that. It's our moral responsibility as female founders, and I hope we do that. Anyway, we're starting off on a leg up. You're a female founder, it's like a war you won, yaar. It's todu. We've come across from something so hard. You're capturing. So please, 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 that's my only request to all of you in this room. We are all warriors, and I hope you realize that and really push and pull everybody up to do whatever the hell they want in life. That's my only request.